Back everyone to the channel, and today I think Keir Starmer has done the single biggest mistake that he's done so far in his premiership, and which could be the most harming to us here in the United Kingdom and to the people in Ukraine. So what has Keir Starmer done? Well, 24 hours after Donald Trump announced to the world that he'd spoke to Vladimir Putin and they were looking to end the war, on the condition that Ukraine could not join NATO, something that has actually had treaties signed for them not to join NATO, something that the West was always warned would lead to war if they joined NATO. Keir Starmer has told Zelensky of Ukraine that it is irreversible that you will be joining NATO, claiming that he and the Europeans will push forward to still get Ukraine into NATO. And they are also saying that no peace talks can take place without them involved. Now, let me just set your minds back to when Donald Trump won the election. Of course, there is a couple of month period between winning an election in America and becoming president to actually being sworn into office. Well, as soon as Donald Trump won the election and said he was going to end the war on day one, what did Keir Starmer do? Keir Starmer flew to America to talk Joe Biden into giving missiles to Ukraine that could actually hit into the heart of Russia. And then we supplied weapons to Ukraine, which could do the same, something that previously hadn't been done. Now, this was done by Keir Starmer in an attempt to escalate the war beyond the control of Donald Trump being able to stop it, to push it that far that there would be a retaliation by Vladimir Putin, which would be so bad that Donald Trump could not possibly look like a neutral person in the middle trying to stop the war. So the question is, why does the establishment, your Joe Biden, your Keir Starmer, your Macron, and it seems like Zelensky is certainly getting into that mix, seem to want this war to happen? Surely, with 1 million Ukrainians dying and there being no hope in hell that they could actually win the war, why would the leader of Ukraine want this to carry on? Now, I get the moral argument. You can argue that they are a sovereign country. They should be able to choose themselves when they join NATO. They don't want to lose any land, although a lot of land in that area has been highly contested for some time. Vladimir Putin will tell you that the people in that area of Ukraine want to be Russian. But I don't know what the truth is there. Do I believe everything Russia said? Absolutely not. Would I like to think there was a different option than war? Absolutely. But let's remember, Ukraine cannot win this war. The more money that we pump in just keeps them going for that bit longer, while they lose more territory, they lose hundreds of thousands of more people, and the mainstream media lie to us and they keep telling us that Ukraine was winning the war. Do you remember that? That Russian tanks was getting stuck in the mud. They was using weaponry and vehicles still from the Cold War, and the country was going bankrupt. Any day now, Ukraine was going to win. It got that bad at one point. It was no longer just about Ukraine defending itself. People started talking about Ukraine countering and coming into Russia and actually defeating Russia in a war. Now we find out that that was all lies. It was all ludicrous. It was done so we, as the people, the citizens of the countries funding the war, wouldn't start speaking out about against our governments for wasting this money when we are also struggling. But in America, that argument pretty much started from day one, because they have put $200 billion worth of money and equipment into Ukraine. Donald Trump says this is enough, this is too much money, can't fund it anymore. Put at the same time that 1 million Ukrainians have died. By the way, another lie told by mainstream media. They told us that more Russians have died. Well, it turns out now the ratio is about 2 to 1. So still a lot of Russians dying, but far more Ukrainians. So Trump says, Ukraine can't win the war. You've lost 1 million soldiers. There's no country left. You're going bankrupt. We can't afford to fund it. So let's get round the table and bring peace to the country. He says it's unlikely they would be able to join NATO. But yet Keir Starmer undermines Trump. Why is this? Why is the West so hell-bent on carrying on this war? Well, from the Ukraine president's position, it could be very simple. What a lot of people don't know and the mainstream media won't talk about is if there was a general election held in Ukraine tomorrow, Zelensky would actually lose his position. So as long as the war goes on, he carries on at the top of the country. Now that's very unusual for me to understand. If a country is at war where it fully supports its leader and it's defending its territory and it 100% hates Russia, why does it want a change of leader? We know why the European leaders want the war to continue, because they can weaken Russia without putting any troops on the ground of their own. But we've been playing a dangerous game. If we was at war with a country and Russia was arming that country and allowing its weaponry to come into us, wouldn't we see that as Russia getting involved in the war? So I agree with Donald Trump that this war must come to an end. And if it was more of a 50-50 conflict, because let's be honest, nobody's actually saying that we want to enter the war with boots on the ground. The army of the United Kingdom could not stand up to the Russian army. It has been absolutely destroyed by decades of bad government who seem to have done it on purpose, hoping we was going to join some type of European army. So we don't have a 50-50 conflict where negotiations could be held more vigorously and try and get a better deal. So for me, what Trump is trying to do is for the best, but Starmer is undermining him at every step of the way. So what is this going to mean going forward for relationships between the UK and the United States of America? Now, our politicians over here, it seems there is only one political party who shares the view of Donald Trump, and that is Reform UK. Kerry Begnog and the Conservatives want it to carry on. The Labour Party under Keir Starmer wants it to carry on. Only Reform UK are saying that one, we've been poking the Russian bird before the war, and that we shouldn't have been doing it. Ukraine should have never, ever been on the tables for joining NATO, and now we should end the war. But let me know what you think when it comes to Keir Starmer and his tactics. Do you think that they're going unnoticed by Donald Trump? And how do you think Trump will reply when it comes to the United Kingdom and the undermining of Keir Starmer? And second of all, let me think what you think about Donald Trump trying to end the war, and whether you think, you may disagree with me, that the war shouldn't be ended on the terms that Vladimir Putin wants, and it seems that Trump is suggesting. Thank you all very much for watching the video, and again, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.